Hello and welcome to Bourbon Roxx. This video is an introductory video. We're not doing any actual bourbon tasting here. I'm just going to explain basically what Bourbon Roxx is, who we are, and what we're going to be doing. And then we'll have some other videos that will talk about what bourbon and stuff is. And then, of course, you're going to see the videos that we've actually reviewed bourbons. So it's Bourbon Roxx, which means that we're mostly going to be doing bourbon, at least initially, exclusively bourbon. With time, though, I expect that we'll get into some other types of whiskeys, such as ryes and other American whiskeys, Tennessee whiskeys, Scotches, Irishes, world whiskeys, and then eventually even some other types of liquors like rums or brandies or tequilas. But it is Bourbon Roxx, so it's mostly going to be bourbon, and in the beginning exclusively bourbon. I am not a professional bourbon taster. I do not make money off of this. I'm a surgeon. I'm still in practice. I just do this in my spare time for fun and for you to share some of my bourbon knowledge and bourbon experience and introduce you to some bourbons that many you may have had, many you may not have had, and tell you what I think. Of course, you have to understand everybody's opinion is different. Just because I like something doesn't mean you will, and just because I don't like it doesn't mean that you will not. We all have different noses, different palates, and we're going to smell and taste different things. And doesn't mean I'm right, you're right, I'm wrong, or you're wrong. As long as you're honest with yourself and say what you smell and taste, then you're right. Okay, and even inside of yourself, you may change your mind on a day-to-day basis. You'll find in some of these reviews, I actually like a bourbon a little bit better one day, maybe not so much the next day. So that can even vary too. When you compare it to another one, you might like it a little better until you try against another bourbon, and that may change. So there's a lot of variation. And again, you're always right as long as you're honest about it. So I'm not a professional. Again, I don't. These are not professional videos. I don't have a producer. They're not polished. I usually do them in one take, so they're raw. Like if I make a mistake here and there, I'll correct myself, but it's not edited. Eventually, maybe if I get popular, I might actually get more production. But my goal is to sort of make this more realistic, more of a one take type video with my honest thoughts and so forth, not to be polished and edited and so forth. But we'll see what happens over time. I'm also not monetized at this point in time. Again, hopefully someday, maybe it'll happen. But for right now, I make no money off of this. I've got no biases to any particular. I know what I like, but I'm not getting paid to say that I like something or don't like something. Also, the other thing about the Bourbon Roxx is I don't want to give the impression that this is an elitist website. It's going to look a little bit like that when we first start, and that's because I'm new to the internet. I want to impress you, so I'm going to bring out what I think are some of the best bourbons in the world. So it may look initially like I'm basically just doing high-priced, expensive bourbons, but it's not going to stay that way forever. Again, trying to wow you because I'm new, so I'm going to bring out some very, very good, highly rated bourbons and expensive bourbons initially. But as we move on, we'll get into more more affordable, more accessible, more easily to acquire bourbons and everyday bourbons. And I'm even going to review some stuff that I don't like. Okay, don't want to be known as a guy that likes everything. I do love bourbon. I like most bourbons, but there's some stuff I don't like, and to be fair, I'll review some of those. But initially, it's going to look pretty high end because that's how I'm starting out. Again, I'm not a professional bourbon taster. I do have a lot of experience. I've been drinking bourbon most of my life. I've been out to Kentucky multiple times for education. I've been on the Bourbon Trail many times. I've done bourbon tasting courses, bourbon education courses. I am an executive bourbon steward with the Stave and Thief Society. There's my medallion, if you can see it there. So, so I've got experience and some education on bourbon tasting, and so that's the knowledge I'm going to try to share with you. But again, it doesn't necessarily make me right, and I'm not a professional but I do this for fun, and I'm doing it for you. And thank you for coming to Bourbon Roxx. I'll do a couple other introductory videos. We'll talk about bourbon and what makes a bourbon, what are some of the rules of bourbon. And of course, then you're gonna see our tasting videos. We're gonna do some individual tastings. We will also do some flights where we put, several bourbons up against each other. And then other interesting things. We'll try to maybe put together flights of different types, perhaps different expressions from the same distillery, and maybe similar expressions from different distilleries. It'll be fun. I even do a little blending too sometimes. So you're gonna have a good time. And I appreciate you coming to Bourbon Roxx, and check us out, bourbonroxx.com. Appreciate it.